Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is an informal video log because I just filmed another video with my whistle and I kept my door open in case John or the pets need to come in. So I'll talk about a couple of things. I have a favorite and this one is random, so I'll start with this one. It's my knitted face mask. So I feel like my guides were guiding me through this because this was supposed to be a tarot bag with the book, since Blue Angel makes their books larger than their decks, and it ended up being a face mask, and it's the perfect size for me. So this is made out of a cotton blend and it has an accordion fold pattern to it, which makes it nice for stretching and making it even more breathable. So when I come back from doing things that I need to do outside my house, I can put this in the wash and it's convenient for me. So it's a nice material. I've been using many of the decks that I have mentioned from the past few videos, and it's been nice to get to know my decks a lot because sometimes being less convenient gives you an opportunity to look at what you have and learn how to work with them more. So one of the decks that I keep on my bedside and sometimes next to me in bed is the Druid Craft. This is the older version of it and I trimmed mine. So this one is one that I don't get any interruptions from spirits from. It's a grounded deck and I dub it my Mighty Oak deck because it's one of those direct answers. So this is nice for a quick answer for me, and it's one of the reasons why, another reason why I love keeping it by me when I go to bed, and also it's a comforting deck too. I've had it for a while, so I know it well, and I edged it in a faded gold, and it looks like a book, which I love. I still use my Everyday Witch Tarot for like an everyday deck, but I have reached out to other decks and saw their potential. So with the Slavic Tarot, I use it for shorter answers too, and shorter card spreads. I've also been loving the color red lately. It used to be one of my favorite colors. It ranks a little lower, but I feel like it could be a rotation where I start having it as one of my top colors again. But I love the richness in this deck. It's extremely honest. It likes to have you contemplate, and it gives you a boost knowing that in a way, it says that you know the answer to this. If you go through the process, you'll figure it out. And it has a maternal warmth to it, which is nice. So, with the face mask, I did have a segmented part of my dream where it was vivid because I saw the wooden floor and then water bursting the floor. So I feel like it felt cleansed and maybe a bit of a tower moment combined with getting out of the element of structure of a 4 and going into a 5 stage. I think that there is changes that are moving forward. There's a lot of progression during this time, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I have been loving the color red lately, and I'm so happy that I etched my Osho Zen deck. It took a while to decide what color I wanted to do. I did have a red before, and I used a different red. So the red that I have now is a new addition to the Sharpie collection. It came out recently where this is more of a candied red, and I love how vibrant it looks. It doesn't look like the other Sharpies, the original ones, because the other red, even the cap looked darker, and this one looked more, maybe it had some orange in it, but it looks candied. So I love how it turned out. And it brings the deck together because this isn't my first copy. I actually gave my other copy to the person that I read with this to. And I love this deck. It's my main Eastern deck that I work with right now, or for the years that I've had it. But I am learning more about Eastern practices, not only with my college, which is starting next week, not next week, it's starting next month, in the beginning of the month. So I'm excited for that. I am still waiting on one of my textbooks to send out, so hopefully it'll get here before my semester starts. So I do have, before the lockdown, I did purchase a Japanese deck, and it hasn't arrived yet, so I am enjoying learning more about especially Japanese lore, because I've enjoyed working with one of the yokai, the kitsune, and it's the fox. So the yokai, from my understanding, is an umbrella term, and compared to Western culture, one of the terms that are dubbed under it are or to creatures and demons, and it seems to be more loosely used, and especially now watching anime and maybe reading the manga and watching the films, I can see the characteristics in the characters. I can see the personality of the characters and how they portray their different deities and spiritual beings in them. And I would say that what they consider demons, they definitely have more of a personality. They don't seem to be as they have a similar characteristic to Pan, where he's more wild, and there is a idea of choice where they're not too forceful, but they're balanced, which is interesting. And that's why I found a similar connection to the Fae, where they choose who to help. They have their own mindset and their way of doing things. So it isn't too open-ended where you just ask them and they'll automatically help you. So I really love the way that it turned out, and I ended on the Tower card too. I'm thinking about doing a review on this deck because I've used it for a long time, and I use it as a tarot deck because the interpretations make a lot of sense to me, and it's one of the guidebooks that I enjoyed looking at. I don't really work with the guidebook right now, but if you're looking at this deck and wondering the language it speaks and its personality, the way that it interprets things, the guidebook can help you out with that. And I feel like once you read a couple of the prompts and the interpretations to some of the cards, you might get an idea of how the cards function. So when you read it, you can make those connections, and it might be an easier process for you. So I wanted to do a review on a couple decks, actually. I wanted to do a review on the Druid Craft, and I also want to do a review on the Kitsune Oracle, the Spirit of the Animals Oracle too. So I do have a reading available on my shop right now, and it's the guidance from the Kitsune. So there are different beings in this deck, but it is more of an embodiment of the fox, or even further, the Kitsune. I have watched a couple of reviews, and I have seen particularly Peekaboo Rose's review on this deck, where she talks about two cards that have Korean backgrounds instead of Japanese. For me, if you're looking at a Lucy Cavendish deck, I don't really look at her decks thinking that there is a strong cultural connection, especially with other cultures other than European, because I have noticed that it's not, I don't think it's intentional, that it might not be the most well represented compared to other decks that are more focused on that. But I can see where there is a confusion with that, because there are European dragons in here too, and there are the Korean cards in here. So with that, there are different lores that go with the fox. So that's something to consider. I know that she took those cards out. Since I worked with the fox before getting this deck, because the fox's counterpart that was given to me by the Morgan, particularly to go into the fairy realm with more of an understanding, more protection and guidance when going in there. So, and as I said that, the Sentinel came out. This is one of the Korean cards, and I passed the other one. I didn't mention it. This has a softer imagery to it, and there is a bit of diversity in a way. But I've been loving doing daily draws. This is one where, and the light card is nice. This is one where I noticed that this is more of an everyday deck for me, whereas another deck that I worked with by Lucy Cavendish has kind of deeper meanings to it. Not saying that you can't get deep readings with this one, but I do feel like this has more of a softness to it. It could be because of the imagery in the back, and then traditional coloring and imagery in the front. There's a card similar to this, except it's a different color that looks more like a parchment. And this one, it isn't really said whether it's a whistle or a flute, or if it's chromatic or diatonic. So I'm gonna say that it's a whistle, because I love playing the whistle. And I do have a red case for this one. I thought silk would be fitting. I got this at my local metaphysical shop. I don't really close it that much because it is more fragile in this part, so I had to pull it down. Other than that, it fits perfectly. So I remembered that the store had them, and I just picked the one red one, and thinking that maybe it won't fit, but I'm gonna get it anyway, and it fits perfectly. So I'll show you. So that's laying on its side. Other red stuff I have are these bangles. I don't wear them too often because they have glitter on them, but I love the color. I also got them at the same shop. And these earrings that I got a while ago. And they have roses at the top. Sometimes I get my draws out of the Wild Unknown, the mass-produced one. I really love this one because I have an understanding of the intricate line work to it and the primal energy that it has. It's really subdued, and then it focuses on different points of the card with the different coloration. I have a review on my channel for this one. So the last deck that I'll talk about is the Tree Angel Oracle deck. I also love my Magical Unicorns Oracle that I use for more everyday readings too. It goes well with my Everyday Witch Tarot. And I finished my Ogham deck. I sent the pictures in. Luckily, the place that I do my cards with are still running regularly. So with the Tree Angel Oracle deck, I wanted to talk about this one because it is one of those accurate, honest decks. I really love the way that the guidebook is written. This is originally a German deck that got translated into English and Japanese as well. Could be more languages too. The images have a bit of a ghostly look to them in terms of the beings in the deck that have a connection to the trees or are the spirit of the trees. And I love using this deck. It's more of my everyday angel deck because I didn't have other angel decks that I worked with on a regular basis, but I do have some that I really love. The reason why I really love this deck is because it has a grounded meaning to it, especially coming from the book. I'm not sure if it's the hardiness of the German author, but it has a strong presence with more of the regular interpretation, and then there is the things to consider, or the shadow meaning, or the reverse meaning. If you don't have the tree energy in your life, this is what happens. And I did a review on this one as well. I was so surprised that I found this in Barnes & Noble. I looked up the deck and I got Rowan because it looks older, but it's a reproduction of the deck. This one has a different backing to it. I first saw this on Kasha's channel. Kasha from Tarot Map. Another one with a great guidebook is the Spirit Animal or Tarot, sorry. I still have the cards in here. It's not one that I use all the time, but I like having it. And it's one of the decks that I use to meditate on with the stand that I have that can hold multiple cards on. It isn't one that I use for regular readings. So that was my video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.